Hey, you ever want to play your favorite anime character in a tabletop RPG and the system would, kind of let you do it, but not really? Well, then you should play Worlds of Myth. Welcome to MythTube, where we build your favorite anime characters in Worlds of Myth. What is Worlds of Myth, you may ask? Well, Myth is a tabletop RPG that I designed to allow you to build the over-the-top characters you only find in shonen battle anime. Characters like Naruto, Deku, Meliodas, and Ken Kaneki are all examples of characters this game can easily let you build. The game is in late beta right now, so you can head on over to worldsofmyth.net and download a free PDF, and you can also download a variety of other supplements. Yeah, for free. My goal is to spread awareness of the game before its official launch, and I want as many of you as possible to have fun playing it. You can also head on over to our Discord at Sinister Jester Worlds of Myth, where you can talk all things about the game, find a group to play with, or check out some of the other games we're testing. But without further ado, let's talk about who we're building today.
So today we are building Bon, the sin of greed from 7 Deadly Sins. I've already talked a lot about my feelings on this show in my Meliodas video. Please go and watch that video, by the way, it's a fun one. So I won't rant about the series too much. But if you haven't seen this show yet, go and watch it. Despite its flaws in later seasons, it is a fun ride and is probably my favorite shonen in terms of memorable and lovable characters. So Bon, first things first, let's talk about which version of Bon we are actually building. So we are not building post-purgatory Bon, and the reasons for this are not the typical ones, as that version of Bon is in the anime and it's not like it was a temporary form or an alternate version of the character or anything like that. No, the reason that I'm not building post-purgatory Bon is because post-purgatory Bon is a totally different Bon than the one that we knew and love up to this point in the series. Not personality-wise, that stays pretty much the same, but certainly in terms of his kit and how I would approach building him. When Bon got introduced to us, his most defining feature was his immortality. I mean, sure, he had his stealing powers and whatnot, but most of what I remember from him is him getting exploded by other characters on repeat and then just reforming like nothing happened. This new Bon gave up his power of immortality in order to bring his lolly girlfriend back to life, which was a pretty great moment, but he lost his most iconic feature. This version of Bon is more powerful and seems to have traded his healing factor for crazy durability. But I don't want to make an armor build or a protection build, I want to make an immortal healer build, so the version of Bon that we are building is Undead Bon just before he entered Purgatory. You can let me know in the comments section below how you would build a post-purgatory Bon if you want, and maybe if you guys cry enough, I could be persuaded to go back and make both versions, but the two builds are fairly different. Going over his abilities, as previously mentioned, Bon has a crazy healing factor, being able to heal indefinitely from any injury, even reforming himself after being exploded into spaghetti sauce by Estarossa. And you'd think this was OP enough, but nope, he also has the ability to steal other characters' stats with Snatch, which will rob them of their physical abilities such as speed and strength while increasing that ability for Bon. He can do this on an entire group of enemies at a time with Hunter's Fest, allowing him to absorb massive amounts of power. But this ability does come with a drawback, as if he steals too much power, his body later experiences massive amounts of fatigue, rendering him useless. Bon can also use his Snatch to grab targets from far away and pull them toward him. He's even used this before to rip people's hearts out. But even without his healing factor and his stealing magic, Bon is no slouch. He fought on par with pre-demon mode Meliodas and is strong enough to accidentally destroy a castle while just roughhousing with his best friend. Bon is very fast, able to disappear in a single bound and throw punches so fast they appear as a blur. He is also an excellent hand-to-hand fighter and is an expert in using his signature weapon, a 3-segment staff. Other noteworthy skills is that Bon is an excellent cook, taking on the role as the chef for the Boar's Hat when he's in town. And thanks to his background as a thief, he's also really good at stealing things. So what level do we put him at? Well, Worlds of Myth is divided into 6 tiers of power with 5 levels between each, and we will correlate this with the 7 Deadly Sins universe. Tier 1, or levels 1 through 5, is where I'd put your foot soldiers and your holy knights in training. Tier 2, or levels 6 through 10, is for true holy knights. Tier 3, or levels 11 through 15, are for elites, so I would put your truly powerful holy knights like Dreyfus, Hendrickson, Zarathus, and even the Dawn Roar. Tier 4, levels 16 through 20, is where I'd put most of the 7 Deadly Sins when we first got introduced to them, as they were already a huge cut above the rest. Tier 5, or levels 21 through 25, is where most of the 10 Commandments sit. And then Tier 6, or levels 26 through 30, is where I'd put the truly terrifying enemies such as Chandler, Cusack, the original demon, and also the Demon King when he's not at full power. The version of Bond that we're building fought against some of the 10 Commandments, but he really got his butt kicked. He also didn't seem to really progress a whole lot till he, well, got to Purgatory and was one of the last sins to get a major power-up. He also seemed to be weaker than King, but probably stronger than early Diane, so I'm gonna estimate him to be mid-4th tier at level 18. Starting off with our level 1, this is Baby Bond. You know, like during his backstory with that fox guy Zhivago. For your starting stats, we get 17 points to divide out how we please, so long as there are no zeros. We'll go with 4 speed, 2 power, 4 skill, 4 cunning, and 3 heart. You're a child thief at this stage, so you're not that strong and you need some sneaky stats. Next, for your race, we're gonna go with vampire. And I know what you're asking yourself right now. Has Bond ever sucked someone's blood? And my answer to that is you don't know. Just look at those things. Look at those canines. Those look like fangs to me. Red eyes, pale skin, nigh unkillable, resting rockstar face. The guy's got all the signs. And shh, he's a vampire. But in all seriousness, the reason why I chose Vampire is because it's the best race to go with in order to get him his stealing magic, and we'll also get some great healing options from it as well. Moving on, at level 1, Vampires get +2 speed, +2 power, +2 skill, and +1 cunning. You also get Vampire Bite, which gives you a set of fangs that count as a crushing bite weapon. You can use these fangs to drink blood and get blood points, which ties into your blood powers. Blood powers gives you a second magical resource in the form of blood points, BP for short, which can be spent just like Myth, but only on Sangromancy spells, which is a vampire exclusive spell school. You crave blood in order to survive, meaning you lose an amount of BP per day equal to your character level or 5, whichever is higher. You can store an amount of blood points equal to your heart stat times 10. If you hit 0 BP, then you become incapacitated and cannot do anything but bite whatever idiot is fool enough to come close to you. You also get Superior Being, which gives you +5 to all of your stat caps, meaning your stats cap at 15 instead of at 20. And lastly, you get Blood Scent and Night Vision, which are ribbon abilities that we won't go into, and then 2 gene slots. For spell schools, you get Sangromancy, Shadowmancy, Hypnomancy, Kleptomancy, Sciomancy, Mortomancy, Hexmancy, and Echomancy. You also get an elemental spell school of choice, and I don't know, it doesn't really matter, so how about Aeromancy? You tend to go wherever the wind takes you, so your personality fits it. For talents, you get level 1 in Arcana or Seduction. We'll go with Seduction. This will give us +5 to rolls involved in Seduction. And then we get another level 1 talent of choice. We'll grab Cooking. This lets you spend an hour cooking in order to make a meal that restores an amount of myth equal to 1d12 plus heart. A character can only benefit from this myth restoration once per day. And then for our level 1 kit, we have 5 upgrade points, so we'll grab Stealth level 1. This will give us +3 to sneaky rolls and sneak attacks. Sleight of Hand level 1, which will give us +5 to rolls when stealing stuff. We'll also grab Monk level 2 for some beginner level fighting skills, and Dodge level 2. Dodge level 1 is free, so this will only cost us 1 point. Skipping forward to the end of tier 1 with level 5, by this point you are all grown up and professionally robbing people and rear end to steal that fountain of youth. This is about the point where you would meet Elaine and get blown off the top of the great tree, but you're still not immortal yet. By this level you get +20 HP, +40 myth, +21 upgrade points, and 4 stats. We'll put 2 into power and 2 into heart. As a vampire, you get another +3 speed, +3 power, +3 skill, and +1 cunning. For your kit, we'll go ahead and max out our martial arts with monk level 5. And then grab the beta weapon, segmented weapon level 5 as well. This will represent your nunchucks. This weapon template is interesting in that its stats aren't that great, but it comes with the stun maneuver, which I won't go into too much detail here, but is really good. And more importantly, it has the special rule growing momentum, which for every time you miss with this weapon, you get a stack of momentum, which grants you +2 damage and +1 armor. You can have up to 10 stacks of momentum and can spend a passive action in order to automatically gain a stack. All momentum stacks are automatically consumed as soon as you land an attack or succeed on a block with the weapon. Next, we are gonna pick up dual wielding and brawler. Dual wielding will let us dual wield our kicks with our nunchucks, and brawler will let us count the free hand that isn't holding our nunchucks as a full monk weapon, meaning we can tri-wield. Keep in mind that if you are using more than 2 weapons in a single attack, you have to spend an extra passive action for the attack. But since your offhand weapons are monk weapons, which add +4 to your offense and defense and +10 damage to your attacks, it's worth it. Then we'll go ahead and pick up improved cunning level 4. I want our cunning a bit higher to synergize with Bond's more iconic abilities. So we'll also grab Skill Weaver level 3. This gives us +5 to all cunning versus cunning rolls involving maneuvers. It also gives us back 6 upgrade points that we can only use on techniques, so we can get your iconic heart snatching ability. We'll do that by stacking a few techniques, starting with improved strike the weak point. This allows us to spend a passive action and make a cunning versus cunning roll against a target. If we succeed, our next attack that turn will do additional damage equal to our cunning stat. So go right for ripping the heart out, that usually works. Next, we are also going to pick up improved Assassin's Strike. This will allow us to do the same thing, spending a passive and making a cunning roll, but this time, if we succeed, we add a flat +10 damage and ignore armor. And then we'll use another 2 of our freebie points to pick up improved Sneak Attack. Normal sneak attacks allow you to make a cunning versus cunning roll when you are hidden from view of your opponent. If you succeed, you automatically hit. If you fail, you attack as normal. But improved sneak attack means that if you succeed on a cunning versus cunning roll, you get to use strike the weak point for free without spending a passive action or succeeding on a cunning versus cunning roll. You can also stack up one other maneuver technique without having to spend additional actions or making cunning success rolls. This means that if we land a sneak attack, we get to combine our Assassin Strike with our Strike the Weak Point, which at this stage gives us +20 damage with armor penetration. Next, we'll spend our last freebie point and an actual upgrade point in order to get improved Disarm/Sever level 2. This will make it so that if your attacks cause at least 20 points of HP loss, you can rip off a limb, and you can combine this technique with any other weapon attack so that it stacks for free with our super sneak attack. Next, we need some stealing magic, so we'll get Power Drain level 3. This lets us spend an action to target a character within 30 feet of us and decrease their power stat by -3, while increasing our own power stat by +3. The draining effect lasts for as long as we maintain the spell, and the target remains within heart times 10 feet of us. But more than that, now that we officially have a Kleptomancy spell, we automatically get the basic spell Kleptomancy Basics. I usually don't cover these spells because they are really just ribbons and the result of a beta tester bitching at me one time that if he could jump really far with wind step, he should be allowed to make a gentle gust of wind anytime he wants. But in Ban's case, it's a relevant note because this spell lets you pull a non-living object 15 feet towards you. A demon heart certainly isn't a living heart once it's been ripped out. So, flavor, success. Skipping forward to level 10, this is the point where you fight against the red demon, drink the Fountain of Youth, and pretty much just skip to the end of tier 2 in like 10 seconds. By this level, you get +25 HP, +50 myth, your first stack of overcharge, 27 upgrade points, and +5 stats. We're gonna put 2 into cunning and then the remaining 3 into heart because you are passionate when it comes to saving your once again totally not underage fairy lolly girlfriend. and also because we could use some more myth and blood points, and this will boost our healing. We will also get +1 speed, power, and skill by virtue of being a vampire. Next, we need some healing and lots of it, so we're gonna pick up Regeneration Gene level 3. This gene gives us 5d6 healing at the beginning of each of our turns, so long as we have at least a little bit of myth in the tank. It also lets us fully regenerate lost limbs if we healed a full HP or heal an amount equal to the attack that caused our limb to fly off in the first place. But as nice as this little bit of healing each turn is, you've literally been exploded before and come back to life, so we're gonna need some resurrection stuffs. We'll get that in the form of Phoenix Aspect level 1. This will make it so that up to 2 times a day when you would be killed, we get to come back to life on our next upkeep with an amount of HP equal to our power stat or heart stat. And just as important, this gene gives us access to the life spell school Vitamancy, which we're gonna abuse later. Next, we'll grab Last Stand level 1. This is pretty similar to Phoenix Aspect, where once a day, when you would be incapacitated or killed, instead you can just say no and respawn on your next turn with an amount of HP equal to your heart stat. Next, we need Ban a bit smarter, so we'll grab Improved Cunning level 7 to get him up to 15. And then we are going to pick up Genius Spellcaster level 3. That might sound odd since Merlin is supposed to be the Genius Spellcaster, but this build is really expensive and requires a lot of healing spells, so I want to choose as many free upgrade points as I can get my hands on. And Genius Spellcaster allows us to get a level 3 and up to 5 non-epic spells, so long as each spell only costs 1 upgrade point per level. We'll start with the Vitamancy spell Healing Amplification level 3. When activated for a single passive action in 10 myth, this spell grants all of our healing abilities for the rest of combat plus 15. We'll also grab Speed Drain and Skill Drain level 3. These are exactly the same as Power Drain, but for the speed and skill stats. And then we'll grab the healing spells Regenerate and Blood Healing level 3, but we will immediately upgrade those to level 5 each by spending another 6 upgrade points. Keep in mind you can also spend your overcharge stack when healing, which costs you 10 myth in order to add another plus 20 HP, and with healing amplification up, you get a resting plus 15 healing from this. So with Regeneration, Phoenix Aspect, and Last Stand, you can get one shot multiple times in battle and just get back up with full HP. But Myth is a limited resource, which is where Blood Healing level 5 comes in. This will let us spend 10 blood points and a normal action to heal ourselves or an ally within touching distance by 4d8 plus heart, with the same rule that we can also spend an additional plus 1 BP any number of times in order to increase the healing by plus 1. And then, with only 2 points remaining, we'll pick up Durable level 2, which will give us plus 20 HP. You are not actually very durable. We've seen a child stab you with a pitchfork before, but you can just reflavor the extra HP as more healing. Moving on to the end of Tier 3, by this point in the story you are fighting alongside the 7 deadly sins while you search for a way to resurrect your totally not underage girlfriend and getting stronger. By the time you hit level 15 you'll have gained another plus 25 HP, plus 50 myth, plus 1 stack of overcharge, plus 28 upgrade points, and plus 5 stats. We're gonna put all 5 of those into heart. You go for decades without getting a new girlfriend, so you are madly determined to get with your fairy princess. This will give us more myth to spend on healing and increase the bonus to our healing rolls. Next, this tier is going to be kinda boring because we already met all of our important healing, draining, and ninja fighting goals in the previous levels, and our stats have been criminally low. So we're just going to pick up improved speed level 7, improved power level 7, improved skill level 7, improved heart level 7, which will eat up all of our points. And now we reached level 18 in 4th tier. This is pretty much where we met Ban for the first time, and honestly where he stays for most of the series until he takes off to Purgatory, flies up to tier 6, and then gives the middle finger to everything I just spent the whole video building as he totally remakes his character sheet. But anywho, by this level you get plus 15 HP, plus 30 myth, plus 1 stack of overcharge, 15 upgrade points, the epic title meaning we can can pick up stuffs with the epic tag in their cost and 3 stat points. We'll just go ahead and shove 1 each into his physical stats. And we'll also get another +1 speed, power, and skill from being a vampire. For our upgrade points, we'll kick things off by getting the epic version of Healing Amplification level 4. This will upgrade the spell to cost us 12 myth instead of 10 in order to grant us +25 healing to all of our healing abilities for the rest of combat. That's pretty good. We'll pair that with Regeneration level 6, which will let us heal by 5d8 plus heart plus whatever else we decide to spend, and it can now regenerate our limbs, which we don't really need because we already have Regeneration Gene, but whatever. And speaking of Regeneration Gene, we'll cap that off with its epic level of Regeneration Gene level 4. This will up the passive healing effect to 6d6 per turn, and will also give the passive healing the effect that you can spend +1 myth any number of times to increase the healing by +1. And now, with our last 10 upgrade points, we can pick up our ultimate Hunter's Fest. We'll do that first by picking up Genius Spellcaster level 4, which gives us 10 upgrade points we can only spend on spells, and then spending all those 10 points along with our remaining 5 in order to pick up Vampiric Aura level 3. This spell is nasty. It takes a passive action and 2 actions to activate, but once activated you have an aura of 100 feet which can be increased via overcharge stacks. Any character in the aura gets -1 to all of their stats and loses -1d4 HP and myth. This doesn't sound like a lot at first till you realize that the guy giving off the aura gets +1 to all of his stats for each -1 he's giving off. You also heal your HP and myth pool by the same amount that you drain. And worst of all, targets who remain in the aura have their stats drained by an extra +1 per turn, and the HP and myth drainage increases by another d4 die each turn. So unless they get out of your area or somehow figure out a way to kill you quick, you'll eventually suck their stats and resources dry. Meanwhile, you'll just keep getting more and more OP. And that's the build. So how did we do? Well, as previously mentioned, this Bond isn't very far into the Bond story, and again, if I get enough criers, I might just go back and do the post-Purgatory Bond. I also didn't want to do fresh out of Purgatory Bond before he gave up his healing factor, cause that Bond is probably just soloing the Demon King by himself. We also didn't have enough points to grab him Godly Speed and Efficient, which always feels like a failure to have happen. But what we did get him was an absolutely insane healing factor which will let you shrug off any wound. We also got some pretty decent stats and combat capabilities and some really OP stat stealing stuff. All in all, a really hard build to take down and a good representation of the iconic Bond we all know and love. If you made it to this point in the video, please give me a like and subscribe, as it really does help me to make more content both on and off YouTube. You can also head on over to our Facebook and Discord groups if you want to find a group to play with or just chat about the game. Also, I'll probably be getting you guys a video for each of the sins at some point or another, because that show is one of my favorites, and out of all the series that I've watched, these guys are probably the most diverse and most fun to build. And with that, my beautiful weebs, I will see you next time. Peace.